Chapter 19, in which Kyung Chao Jin finds a good friend, and Pan number 3 comes to grief. Kyung Chao Jin was in bed upstairs when he heard that a caller had arrived. He flung on his clothes and hurried downstairs to find a man in an officer's cap, black silk gown, and thick-soled black shoes. This man had a dingy beard, high cheekbones, sallow complexion, and piercing eyes. "Are you Mr. Kyung?" he asked. "My unworthy name is Kyung. May I ask your honorable name?" "Pan, at your service. The other day I read my brother's letter telling me of your arrival here." "So you are Mr. Pan?" Kyung Chao Jin made haste to bow, then invited his visitor upstairs. "I was out that day," said Pan, "when you favored me with a call. I arrived back the day before yesterday and read the letter in which my brother describes your genius and many good deeds. I feel the greatest respect for you. I came here especially to throw myself under your kind protection," said Kyung Chao Jin. "But you were away on public business. I am delighted to meet you today." He went downstairs to fetch tea and asked one of the shop assistants to buy two plates of cakes, which he carried upstairs. Pan had been reading the poems on the wall. "Oh-ho," he said at the sight of the cakes. "There was no need for that." As he took the tea, he pointed to the wall. "Why go around with that crowd, Mr. Kyung?" he asked. "What do you mean, sir?" "Why, they're a notorious pack of fools. This fellow Ching is a hatter who started out with 2,000 taels as capital, but he squandered the lot on poetry. Whenever he brushes hats in his shop, he recites lines about rain falling during the spring festival until he's become a laughingstock for all his customers and neighbors. And now that he has lost his capital, he is using poetry as an excuse to sponge on everybody he meets. He's a public nuisance. That man Chi used to be a merchant for the salt gabble, but since I came back I heard in the Yamen that a few days ago the assistant comptroller had him arrested and dismissed from the service for chanting poems on the street when he was drunk. He'll soon be stony broke. While you're away from home, Mr. Kyung, you should turn your hand to something more profitable. Why mix with men like that?" Pan had eaten two cakes, but now he pushed the plate aside. "What good cakes," he said. "Let's go out for a meal." He told Kyung Chao Jin to lock the door, and they went out to a restaurant by the Yamen, where Pan ordered a whole duck, one portion of sea slugs with pork, and a large dish of pork. Seeing that it was Mr. Pan, the restaurant people nearly fell over backwards trying to please him, choosing their choicest and fattest pork and duck for him and cooking the sea slugs to a turn. Pan ordered 2 pots of wine to drink before they started on the rice, and what was left over he gave to the waiters. He did not ask for the bill on the way out either, but merely said, "This is on me." Hastily bringing his hands together in a salute, the manager answered, "Yes, sir, certainly, sir." As they left the shop, Pan asked, "Where would you like to go now?" "I was thinking of calling on you, Mr. Pan," said Kyung Chao Jin. "Very well, come on over." They walked up a lane to a house with a double wooden gate and a blue wall, and through an inner gate to a hall where a group of men were gambling around a table. "You dogs," cried Pan, "have you nothing better to do than waste your time here?" We heard that you had just come back, sir," they answered. "We're collecting the proceeds of our gambling to welcome you home." "I don't want any money or welcome from you," growled Pan. Then, thinking better of it, he added, "All right, I have a friend here. Let's see you put up some money as a welcome for me." Kyung Chao Jin wandered about to him, but Pan stopped him. "Don't trouble," he said. "We did our bowing just now. Take a seat." He went inside to fetch 2,000 coins and told the gamblers, "This 2,000 is Mr. Kyung's share, which you can use. All the surplus winnings today will go to him." And to Kyung Chao Jin he said, "Just sit here and watch them. Whenever the kitty is full, you can pocket the cash and let them start again." He pulled over a chair and made Kyung Chao Jin sit down, while he sat beside him to watch. Presently a man called to ask Pan's advice, and when he went out he saw that it was Wang number 6, who kept a gambling house. "I haven't seen you for a long time, number 6, said Pan. "What do you want me for?" "Do you mind stepping outside for me?" asked Wang. Pan followed him to a quiet tea house. "There's a chance of making money, sir," Wang told him, "so I came straight to you." "What is it?" "Yesterday, the police from Chianting County Yamen caught some lotus in Maofeng Fair attacking a maid called Lotus. Yep. Attacking a maid called Lotus, who was run away from a family in Yuejing County. The police caught the gang right in the act and reported them to the magistrate, who gave them each a dozen strokes before letting them go. And he has sent this Lotus back to Yuejing. Now there's a rich man here named Hugh, who's taken a fancy to this girl and asked me if we can't find some way to get a hold of her. He's willing to fork out a few hundred taels for her. Do you think it can be done? Who was put in charge of her? Huang Chiu. Has he gone himself? No, he sent two of his men. When did they leave? Yesterday. Does Huang Chiu know about this Mr. Hugh? Of course he does. He wants to make some money too, but he doesn't know how to. That is easy, said Pan. Bring Huang Chiu here, and we'll talk it over. Wang number 6 assented and went off. Pan number 3 was sitting there alone, sipping tea, when another man burst in. Mr. Pan, he cried. I've been looking for you everywhere. So you were here all the time drinking tea? What do you mean? About 10 miles outside the city lives a man called Xiu Minqi, who decided to sell his younger brother's widow to a man called Huang Qiangfu. In fact, he pocketed the money, but his sister-in-law refused to marry again. He consulted a go-between and they decided to have her kidnapped. But the go-between said, I don't know your sister-in-law. You'll have to tell me how to recognize her. She goes out every morning to collect firewood behind the house, said she. If you lie in wait there tomorrow, you can carry her off. Well, they went ahead with this plan, but the next morning Xi's wife went out instead of his sister-in-law, so they carried off the wrong woman. Huang lives more than 10 miles away, and he has already slept with her. When Xi went to ask for his wife back, Huang wouldn't give her up, so he has appealed to the court and the suit just arrived. The trouble is that they never drew up a marriage certificate, so there's no proof, and now Huang wants to have one made out, but those villagers don't know how to do it. That's why I came to you, sir. He hopes you can also handle the Yamen side for him, and we will send you a few taels of silver as a present. Why get so excited over little things like this? Demanded Pan. Sit down. I'm waiting for Yuan Qing, the runner. Soon Huang Chiu arrived with Wang number 6. So Mr. Hao is here too, he said, when he saw the other man. That has nothing to do with you, said Pan. He's here for something else. Pan and the runner sat at one table, Wang and Hao at another. How do you plan to settle this business, sir? Asked Huang. How much is he willing to pay? Mr. Hugh says that if he can get the girl, he'll pay 200 taels of silver. But that must cover all the costs. How much do you want to make out of it? If you can pull this off, sir, I'll be satisfied with a few taels. You don't think I'm going to wrangle with you, do you? That's all right then. There is a scholar from Yuejing County in our family who happens to be a friend of the county magistrate there. I shall ask him to get a report from the magistrate stating that this girl Lotus has been sent back to her own home. At the same time, I shall find someone here to get authority from our magistrate to fetch her back, so that we can hand her over to Mr. Hugh. What do you say to that? Excellent, said Huang Chiu. But there's not a moment to lose. You'll have to get busy at once, sir. I shall get authority from the magistrate today. Tell Mr. Hugh to bring the money at once. When the runner had consented and left with Wang, Pan took Hao back with him to his house. The gamblers were still there. When their game was over, Pan saw them out, but kept Kuang Chao Jin behind. Won't you stay for the night? He asked. I have something to discuss with you. Taking him to a back room upstairs, he drafted a marriage certificate for Kuang Chao Jin to copy, then showed this to Hao, telling him that he could have this the next day when he brought the money. This done, he sent Hao away. After supper, Pan lit the lamp and dictated a fake writ to Kuang Chao Jin, then chopped it with one of the many false seals made of dried bean curd which he had in the house. Next, he produced a vermilion brush and asked Kuang Chao Jin to write out an order of recall. And when all their work was done, he brought out wine and they drank together. These are what I call worthwhile jobs, which won't be wasting your time, said Pan. Why play about with those fools? That night, Pan kept Kuang Chao Jin there, and the next morning, when the 2 lots of money arrived, He gave him 20 taels to take back with him. Yuang Chao Jin accepted the money gladly, and sent some home through a friend to increase his brother's capital. Various bookshops asked him to edit essays for him, and from now on he had a share in all Pan's profits. So he was gradually able to cut a better figure. He also took Pan's advice and kept away as much as possible from the scholar poets. One day, about 2 years after this, Pan number 3 called on him. "I've not seen you for a long time," he said. "Let's go and have a drink." Yuang Chao Jin locked his door and accompanied Pan, but they had not walked many yards when a servant from Pan's house came up to them. "There is a guest waiting for you, sir, at home," he said. "You had better come with me," Pan told Yuang, then took him to his house and asked him to wait in an inner room while he talked to the caller in the hall. "I haven't seen you for a long time, Li number 4, said Pan. "Where have you been?" "I have been at the examiner's yamen," replied Li. "I have something to talk over with you. I was afraid that you might not be at home. Now that I've found you, I'm sure we shall be able to pull this off." "What are you up to now?" demanded Pan. I've never worked with anyone so close-fisted." "You can't bear parting with a cent. There's money in this." "What is it?" "Well, the Imperial Examiner will soon be coming to Shaoxi Sing, and there is a man called Chi Tung Ye who has been a clerk in the Board of Civil Office for a number of years and made some money, who wants his son to take the examination. But his son, Qin Yao, is an absolute idiot. So now, with the examination coming, his father wants to find a substitute. The trouble is that this examiner is very strict. We shall have to think out a new way. That's why I've come to talk it over with you." "How much is he prepared to pay?" "To pass the examination in Shaoxing is worth a cool 1,000 taels. If he takes this shortcut, we can ask at least 500 taels. The substitute will be difficult to find, though, and there's the problem of how to disguise him. How much to pay him, how much to spend in the yamen, and how to divide what's left between ourselves." "If it is only 500 taels altogether, and you want a share of it, I am not interested," declared Pan. "You can get a little money out of Mr. Chin for your troubles, but you can't touch this 500. "All right, I'll do anything you say, but tell me how to manage it." "You needn't trouble your head over it," said Pan. "I shall find a substitute and settle with the yamen. All you need do is tell Mr. Chin to give you the 500 taels to deposit in a pawn shop, just paying me 30 taels first for minor expenses. I guarantee that his son will pass, and if he doesn't, I won't touch the 500 taels. Will that suit you?" "There can be no objection to that," said Li. So the matter was settled, and a date fixed with the payment. When Pan had seen Li out, he rejoined Yuang Chao Jin. "I'm counting on you for this, my friend," he said. "I heard what you said, and I'll do what I can for you. But will I have to write the essay outside and try to pass it in, or go in to take the examinations for him? I must say I haven't the courage to pass myself off as someone else." "Don't you worry, I'll look after you. You don't think I'd let you get into trouble, do you? When he brings the money, I'll go to Shaoxing with you." Yuang Chao Jin then returned to his lodgings. A few days later, Pan called for him with his luggage. They crossed the Qianting River, traveled straight to Chiaoxing, and found quiet lodgings in an alley near the examiner's office. The next day, Li brought the candidate to see him. When the examiner had announced the time of the examination, Pan took Yuang Chao Jin at midnight to the gatehouse of the examination school, where he made him take off his scholar's costume and put on a tall black hat, a blue cloth silk gown, and a red belt. Then he whispered some urgent instructions and left him, taking Yuang's clothes away with him. At dawn, 3 cannons were fired. The examiner entered the hall, and Yuang Chao Jin, holding an usher's stick, mingled with the other ushers who bustled noisily in to stand on guard by the second gate. When the examiner called the roll and reached the name of Qin Yao, Yuang winked at the young man, who was forewarned, and instead of going to his appointed cell, he slipped into the shadow while Yuang stepped back to join him. Behind the backs of the others, Qin took off his cap and they exchanged caps and clothes. Then Qin picked up the stick and joined the ranks of the ushers, while Yuang Chao Jin took the paper to the cell and wrote an essay. He handed in his paper rather late, then returned to his lodgings without anyone discovering the impostor. And when the results were published, Jin Yao had passed with distinction. Pan number 3 accompanied Qiang Chao Jin back to Hyang Chao and gave him 200 taels as his reward. "Don't squander this windfall, friend," he advised him. "Put it to some good use." "What do you mean by that?" Your term of mourning is over, and it's high time you married. I have a friend called Ching, a very good sort, who works in the provincial government. His son is in the Yamen as well. He asked me to find a husband for his third daughter, and I've had you in mind all along because you're the right age for each other and would make a handsome couple. But as long as you had no money, I couldn't propose you seriously. Now, if you're interested, I have only to say the word. You can live with him, and I'll help you pay for the wedding. You are far too good to me, Mr. Pan, and I'm only too willing. But now that I have some money, why should I ask you to spend any more on me? You don't understand. Your future father-in-law's house is small. Even if you stay with him for a time, you'll have to rent a house yourself eventually, because there will be two of you, and you'll have children as well. You won't be like a visitor here anymore. Since we are closer than brothers, why shouldn't I spend some money on you? In future, when you rise high, you'll have plenty of chances to make me back. You'll have plenty of chances to pay me back." Qiang Chao Jin was overwhelmed with gratitude. True to his words, Pan proposed the match to Mr. Ching, compared the young couple's horoscopes, and only asked Qiang for 12 taels to buy trinkets and 4 costumes for the bride. The wedding was to take place on the 15th of the 10th month. And when that date arrived, Pan prepared a good meal and invited Qiang Chao Jin over in the morning. "I am your go-between," said Pan as they were eating. "I'll escort you there today. And this meal can be considered your feast to thank the go-betweens." At that, they both laughed. After the meal, Pan made the young man take a bath and change into a completely new outfit, which he had prepared for him. A new square cap, new shoes, and a new sapphire blue silk gown. Then the auspicious hour arrived, and they went in 2-seated chairs, preceded by lanterns, to the bride's home. Mr. Ching lived in a 3-roomed house in a small alley by the Yamen. As Pan handed over 200 coppers as largesse, the door which had been closed at the bridegroom's arrival was opened, and old Ching came out. And when he and his prospective young son-in-law recognized each other as fellow passengers on the same boat some years before, they felt this marriage must have been predestined. Qiang Chao Jin bowed to his father-in-law, who went in to bow to his mother-in-law and greet his brother-in-law, after which a feast was served, at the end of which Pan left. Then Qiang Chao Jin was invited into his bridal chamber, and the beauty of his bride threw him into raptures. They drank together and became husband and wife. The next morning, Pan number 3 sent over a feast for Qiang Chao Jin to thank his father-in-law. Mr. Ching invited Pan to accompany them, and they feasted for a whole day. Soon a month had passed, and since Mr. Ching's house was cramped for space, it proved inconvenient for the young couple to stay there. For 40 taels of silver, Pan rented 4 rooms for Qiang Chao Jin near the bookshop, and when he had brought furniture and other household utensils, they moved in. By the time Qiang had entertained his neighbors and brought 2 bushels of rice, all his money was spent. But luckily he had Pan to help him in all these transactions by buying things cheaply for him, and fortunately the bookshops asked him to edit 2 more volumes of essays, paying him a few taels of silver and giving him a number of copies which he could sell. So the young couple managed to make ends meet. Just over a year after, a daughter was born to them, and husband and wife lived happily together. One day, Qiang Chao Jin was standing at his door when a man in a big cap and blue gown came along. "Does Mr. Qiang of Yuanjing County live here?" he asked. "I am he," replied Qiang. "Where do you come from?" "Since Li has sent me to Chiqing to bring you a letter, sir." Qiang Chao Jin asked the messenger to come in and sit down. When he read the letter, he found that the accusations against his patron had proved groundless, and that a few months after being reinstated, Mr. Li had been summoned to the capital to take up the post of supervisory censor there. He was now writing to invite his pupil to come to the capital, where he could help him. Qiang kept the messenger to a meal, while he wrote a grateful reply stating that he would pack up and leave as soon as possible for the capital to receive his master's instruction. Then he sent the messenger off. Almost immediately after this, he received a letter from his elder brother announcing that the imperial examiner was going to Wenchao district to supervise an examination, and asking him to go back to take it. Qiang Chao Jin dared not miss this opportunity. He told his wife and invited her mother over to keep her company, then packed his things and went back to take the examination. When the results were announced, the examiner singled him out for praise, placing him first in the first rank and recommending him for the Imperial College on the grounds of his pious conduct. Exultantly, Qiang Xiaojin thanked the examiner, and when he had seen him off, he went back to Hangzhou to discuss with Pan how to return to Yueqing County to put up a wooden placard and erect a flagpole to his ancestral temple to honor the family. He also ordered 3 court costumes from an embroidery shop, one for himself, one for his mother, and one for his wife. And when these costumes were ready, he borrowed 3 tales from all the bookshop managers, who also sent him other gifts. Qiang Xiaojin was about to choose an auspicious day for his return to Yueqing when Qing Lan Qiang called to see him and invited him out to a tavern. While they were drinking, Qiang told him all that had happened, but after expressing his admiration, Qing steered the conversation round to Pan number 3. "Have you heard the news?" he asked. "No, what has happened?" "He was arrested late last night and is now in gaol." Qiang Xiaojin was aghast. "Surely not," he exclaimed. "I was with him at noon yesterday. Why should he be arrested?" "It's quite true," declared Qing. I wouldn't have known but for the fact that I have a relative who was a police officer in the district yamen. It's his birthday today, and when I went to congratulate him, everybody was talking about this. That's how I heard. It seems that the order came down from the provincial governor, so the county magistrate dared not delay but sent to arrest him at midnight, fearing he might escape. They surrounded the house and arrested him then and there. The magistrate didn't ask a single question, simply tossed the warrant to him to read, and when Pan saw it, he didn't even attempt to defend himself, but kowtowed to the magistrate and let him be taken away. He had walked to the door of the hall when the magistrate called the runners back and ordered them to put him in the inner prison with the bandits. He's in trouble, all right. If you don't believe me, I can take you there. I can take you to my relative's place to see the warrant. That would be best, said Qiang. May I trouble you, sir, to take me there? I wonder what he was accused of. They paid the bill, left the tavern, and went straight to the house of the police officer, whose name was Qiang. He was entertaining friends, and when he saw them, he invited them into the library and asked the reason for their visit. Qing Lan Qiang told him, "My friend would like to see the warrant for that man Pan, who was arrested last night." Qiang produced a notice pasted on a board, which read, "It appears that Pan Siye is a local criminal who has been making use of his official position and concealing his real character to practice legal chicanery, lending money at exorbitant rates of interest and injuring the people. There is no crime of which he is not guilty. Such a criminal should not be tolerated for a moment. See that your county magistrate loses no time in arresting this man and trying him in order to bring him to justice. This is extremely urgent." Then followed the accusations against Pan number 3. First, he had embezzled large sums of money. Secondly, he had hushed up several murders. Thirdly, he had used the official seal of the county yamen and the vermilion brush for fraudulent purposes. Fourthly, he had forged several official seals. Fifthly, he had kidnapped women. Sixthly, by usury, he had driven people to suicide. Seventhly, he had bribed the school officers and found substitutes for candidates for the examinations. There were other accusations too. When Qiang Xiaojin read this, he nearly took leave of his senses. But to know what follows, you must read the next chapter.